for October was 27%. The broader rate pushes the city's rate to as high as 44.8%.
Okay.
And they said that actually, they say that at least 100,000 people in the city have given up the job search altogether.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. So that it just shows there's a lot of hopelessness out there
Right.
in Detroit.
Right.
So.
Now I have a couple of articles from CNNMoney.com. It was a feature they did a couple of weeks ago, back on the 11th of December, that goes along with what you're saying. And it was talking about how people are using seasonal jobs to kind of fill a gap while they're being unemployed. And they're accepting pretty substantial loss in income. For example, this one lady, her first name is Daisy. She's 54 years old. She was a drug rehabilitation counselor, and she was unemployed for 10 months. And she has a master's degree. And so what she did was she applied for a job at Macy's, working as a sales clerk during the Christmas season. Happily for her, she was able to get a job, but she's only making $8.50 an hour. And she's really worried because she doesn't know if this is going to turn into something long term, or she's going to be back out there in the streets pretty much looking for work.
Yeah, well, we had talked about it last month when they reported the labor statistics. That looked like things were getting better. Then we said, well, that we felt that maybe these were skewed by holiday hirings.
Right.
And actually, I had an article that said that UPS and FedEx. There's an article here from Yahoo News. Well, they're talking about other things, but just the fact that UPS hires about 50,000, hired 50,000 seasonal workers this year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they hired 60,000, but it's just that's a pretty that's just one company. That's a pretty big amount of people right there.
Right.
And I don't know. They didn't say how many FedEx hired. And there was an article here just about, there was a couple people that were white-collar workers that got jobs, for the holidays. And, again, they had making a lot less wages than what they were making before.
Right.
But they just can't find anything,
Right.
Now, UPS actually expects to keep about 10 to 15,000 of those people this year.
Right.
As full-time people. I guess they probably, this is a good way to find some maybe good people, they feel.
Right. I think I remember looking at the article. Wasn't one
Yeah.
of the guys that was working, wasn't he an older guy?
Yeah, it was a guy 61 years old. He was a writer. He had worked on Good Morning America, among other shows. And now he's making $13 an hour as a driver.
Right.
And now there was also another guy who was actually in the IT field, and he was 42 years old, and he was some kind of had a good job managing a staff of consultants and administrators, and now he's a driver's helper.
Right.
And so he said that the IT field is a very tough place to be in this economy. He can't find a job. And I know that kind of goes contrary, right, to what we sometimes hear about the IT field being a good field to be in.
Right. That's true.
This kind of shows you that may not be the case.
Right. And then another person that was featured in that CNN Money article, her name is Nicole, her first name is, and she was a financial advisor. And I can imagine being a financial advisor in this particular economy would be a little bit difficult, because I'm sure people are holding on to their money, their pennies, and they're not willing to invest it right now until they have some sort of clear idea as to where to put it. But she was a financial advisor at Smith Burney, and she left actually back in January. She left voluntarily, but she could see the writing on the wall, so she knew that if she either left or she was going to be terminated. And so she wasn't able to find a job, but what she decided to do was to see if she can start her own business. So she decided to start a business in event planning, and so far that business hasn't taken off. So in order to pay her bills, she got a seasonal job working at a store. And she's making $10 an hour. But once again, she said that she's only working 20 to 25 hours per week, and she's hoping that she'll be able to turn this into some sort of a long-term opportunity. So it looks like if they would hire her full-time, she'd be willing to take it. So it sounds like she too might be willing to take a job and take a significant
you gotta do what you got to do.
Right. Right. And then I have an article dated it's actually kind of a blog. It was dated the 18th of December. I got it from Peter Schiff's website, www.europac.net, and it's called Job Losses Demystified. And it's a really good article. It's kind of like an editorial. And it just explains how we can have growth in our gross domestic product, and yet it's not filtering down to jobs. So you have the government, I guess, is officially saying that the recession is over, and yet you look outside your window and you see that for the individuals, you're not feeling it or seeing it at all. And so it's the way that the statistics. One of the reasons why you're not seeing it is it's the way the statistics are calculated.
They're basing that they're saying the economy's going to recover just based on GDP, right?
Right, based on GDP.
And then this article is talking about how those GDP numbers aren't really maybe what you might think they are, right?
Right. What it was saying is that they take into consideration, they actually include foreign labor force. So if you have a product where part of it is made here in the United States and part of it is made in a foreign country, they actually include the part that was done or made by the foreign workers is actually included in our domestic.
All right, so in that example, let's say like for an automobile, so there's different parts from a car, and they may come from anywhere in the world.
Right.
And they go in, they get shipped over here, and then they go into that car.
Right.
It might even be assembled here in the United States.
Right.
And they're counting, the cost of those pieces, right? They're going to kind of go
Right,
into
exactly.
it.
So in essence then, and I can see now why they're saying that we're having a jobless recovery. In essence, really, we're still losing jobs. We're still losing jobs on a pretty, I guess, consistent basis to foreign workers, and yet, so we can see a growth in the domestic product, but we're not seeing an increase in the growth of jobs. And this article is kind of explaining why. And then it also goes on to say that some of the stimulus programs that we've had, and I think we mentioned this in one of the earlier shows, like the cash for clunkers. One of the problems with that stimulus plan, and one of the things I guess we were hoping with the cash for appliance program that's not repeated, is that there was no stipulation that said that the money had to be spent on an American-made product. And so as a result, a good percentage of that money was spent on foreign automobiles. So actually the money, even though I guess it was funded by our taxpayers, it was just another way of shipping money abroad again.
That's why I think the Cash for Crack Houses program would be so good.
The Cash for Crack Houses?
Yeah, so I don't think too much of that money would go to the foreign countries.
Okay, you're really lobbying for that program.
I'll tell you, that's my thing now.
Right. Do you have another article?
Yeah, there's, just kind of going with the joblessness, there's an article here from Bloomberg.com, and they're reporting December 17th that more Americans than anticipated filed first-time claims for unemployment benefits last week.
Okay.
So initial jobless claims rose by 7,000 to 480,000 in the week, and that was revised from 473,000 the prior week. So what they're saying is that the level of new claims remains elevated, and that there's more people who are getting extended payments on their unemployment. So it just doesn't seem like the job situation is really changing much at all. Well, again, we had talked. We're going to see what happens after all these holiday workers kind of get put back on the streets again in January.
Yeah, I could easily see a spike in the unemployment numbers come January, February. Now, I have an article from the Shanghai Daily stated the 21st of December, and it just mentions that for the Chinese government, they said that it's harder for them to start, it's almost like they're kind of giving us a little bit of a warning that it's hard to buy U.S. Treasuries. And they're one of the major purchasers of our Treasuries, and they're one of the major funders of our debt, basically. And so what they're saying is that the United States cannot continue, or I shouldn't say cannot continue, but the United States cannot force foreign governments to increase their holdings in treasuries. So I thought that can be, in the long term, that can be somewhat problematic. If you're issuing treasuries and, we're not able to sell them to foreign nations, then what? And I think there's some talk that we might be practicing what they call quantitative easing, and that's where the U.S. government issues the debt, and then we're also buying back some of the debt, or we're purchasing some of the treasuries. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't think there's been anything that really has confirmed that.
Maybe we should send some of those loan sharks over there.
Why are we sending loan sharks over there? How's that going to help them buy? How's that going to help them buy our treasuries?
Well, we'll cut off their fingers if they don't.
Oh God, Gary. Do you have any other articles?
Well, there's, just another article from ChicagoTribune.com just saying that more states lost jobs and added than in November. So signaling that hiring is occurring only sporadically around the country. So unemployment rates dropped in 36 states in the District of Columbia, but that appeared to reflect more people leaving the workforce. Unemployed people who stopped looking for jobs aren't counted in the labor force.
Did they say what states are hiring? Did it go into that detail?
No.
Okay, because I was wondering if that would be states that might have more seasonal jobs available, or was that something that was more...
It didn't. It's pretty sparse article here. It said in all, 19 states added jobs in November, down from 28 in October.
Okay.
So they're basically saying employers have yet to ramp up hiring.
Right. Well, that's about it. We're going to cut our show short today because we're recording on a Monday. I think both of us have to get to work.
Yeah, that's right.
You might have heard the phone ring a couple of times in the background.
Right. We don't want to lose the job we have.
Yeah, so until next week, there goes the phone again. See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.